What is up, guys? It is Thunderous Thursday, January 27th. We are creating the Mount Rushmore of the Royal Rumble tonight. This is the Casual Wrestling Daily Podcast. Before we jump into the show, make sure to hit the like button if you are watching us on YouTube. And if you are listening on Spotify or other podcast networks, feel free to leave us a nice little 5-star review. Quick shout out to this week's Patreon producers: Brandon Ruffin, J by Proxy, Muscle Fiend 53, Randall Beatley, OG Ian the Noobs Newberry, and OG It's Zinni. Once again, thank you guys for supporting the show. And with that, let's jump straight into this today's Ringside Report. First off, in WWE, it looks like the entire roadmap to WrestleMania 39 for the women's division has been scrapped. Insiders are reporting that Raquel Rodriguez and Ronda Rousey were originally scheduled for the Royal Rumble, but for an unknown reason moved up to the December 30th SmackDown almost a month before the original plan was set to take place. Insiders are reporting that while the originally planned for Charlotte and Bianca Belair to face off at WrestleMania, that plan has now been scrapped and there is nothing concrete to replace it. It is also said that there is some confusion on what that means for Ronda Rousey moving forward. Look, Triple H, call me up. I could solve this extremely easily for WWE. Just call me up. As a matter of fact, you make the call, bring me in, fly me out. I'll fix all of your booking problems in like 30 minutes. One sit-down meeting, 30 minutes. We can hammer this out. Here's how you do it. This is the deal right here, right? Easy. You have way more talent on your women's roster than you have spots available at WrestleMania. We know this. This is a fact at this point. But this is a great problem to have. This isn't anything to worry about. See, you've got Bianca Belair. You've got Alexa Bliss. You've got Charlotte Flair. You've got Rhea Ripley. You've got Becky Lynch. You've got Bayley. You've got Raquel Rodriguez. And they're all going to be vying for time on the big stage, right? Not to mention that you have Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler just held up somewhere, not doing anything on television, which I'm going to get to in a minute. We'll bring them into the fold in a minute. But let's start out by booking the major titles. And let's start out with booking the Raw Women's Championship. I don't understand the need for panic here. There's a simple path forward. Why not just, here we go, 2 days away, Royal Rumble, shock the world, and have Alexa Bliss beat Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. That frees up Bianca to go back to chasing a title or go back to whatever it is that makes Bianca special. And it shocks the world, and Alexa Bliss is your new champion, and everybody will be talking about it the day after the Royal Rumble. That's one big surprise you could give us at the Royal Rumble. But then, in the Royal Rumble, have Rhea Ripley win, which is what we expect to happen. But have Rhea Ripley win and immediately have Alexa Bliss enter the ring and have some kind of stare down, which you could pair up with any kind of Uncle Howdy Judgment Day shenanigans that you want. But it sets up a match at Mania for Rhea Ripley to go over someone like Alexa Bliss that will get a strong crowd reaction. And it sets up Rhea Ripley for a strong summer of 2023. That's easy, man. Book it. Raw, all your Raw women's problems solved. Now let's jump over to SmackDown. You have Charlotte Flair call out Bianca Belair the following Friday after the Royal Rumble for losing her title, for not being the queen of Monday Night Raw anymore. Charlotte could turn heel and essentially go back and play the role of there is only one queen in this business. It works. Trust me, it works to have Bianca Belair chasing Charlotte Flair. That works. And if you have to protect Bianca Belair, then in the match at Royal Rumble with Alexa Bliss, have Alexa cheat to win. However it is, have Uncle Howdy, include Bray Wyatt, whatever you got to do, keep Bianca strong and allow Charlotte to call her out and question her title reign. You know, it works. Now I know what everybody's saying. All right, we've got Bianca, we've got Charlotte covered, we've got Alexa, we've got Rhea Ripley. What about Becky Lynch? Because Becky Lynch can't be left out in the cold. We can't do that to possibly our biggest attraction in the women's division. I got a fix for it, right? This is where you could get real interesting if you're WWE. This is where Triple H, pay attention. This could get extremely interesting, and I could sell tickets, man. I can bring the ratings up. At this point, I think Damage Control, they've pretty much run their course. I don't think that you want Damage Control as the women's champions going into WrestleMania. I just don't think they're a big enough attraction for Hollywood. I don't see it working, right? So what if right after Royal Rumble, Alexa Bliss wins the Raw Women's Championship and Bayley is given the opportunity to challenge for that championship on Monday Night Raw? Main event. Alexa Bliss versus Bayley. WWE Championship is on the line. And during that match, Damage Control turns on Bayley, causing her to lose that opportunity, causing her to lose possibly her last opportunity at the Raw Women's Championship, and essentially putting Bayley back into the babyface picture. So from there, you have Bayley, in whatever way you want to, Triple H, I'll let you figure this part out. You have her reconnect with Becky Lynch to form a tag team. Now you've got a solid new tag team with Becky Lynch and Bayley, people who have a history. The crowd can get behind both of them. The fans want to cheer for Bayley. As good of a heel as she is, the little girls want to cheer for Bayley. This is your opportunity going into WrestleMania to refresh Bayley once again. Whether she wants to or not, I don't really care. It's what's best for business. So then you have Becky and you have Bayley challenge for the women's tag team titles at Elimination Chamber, have them beat Damage Control, and now heading into WrestleMania, you have the titles on two highly credible stars, and you have two highly credible bad guys in waiting named Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. That's a hell of a tag team match at WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch and Bayley. Book it. That match could steal the show. But you see where I'm going here, don't you? This gives you the ability moving forward. You're planting a little seed here. There's a little seed of like long-term storytelling going on that I'm doing here. If Sasha Banks ever decides to return back to WWE, you've planted the seeds for the future WrestleMania match of the Four Horsewomen versus the Four Horsewomen. It's all there. If it never comes to be, it never comes to be. But at least you're planting the seed. Now, what is it for Raquel Rodriguez? Sorry, it's just not your time yet. I apologize, right? But that's how you book the women's division. It's simple. I mean, the sea has parted and given you every opportunity to build new stars, to put credible superstars in matches. It's all there, and yet I'm going to guarantee that Triple H and WWE, they figure out a way to mess that up. Now, next up, we have an update on Britt Baker's injury, with Tony Khan announcing on Twitter that while Britt was not medically cleared for Dynamite, her injury was not as serious and she should be back soon. Look, I don't want to be that guy, but it appears to me that Britt Baker got injured on an episode of AEW Dark against somebody named Billy Starks. Now, I don't know who the fuck Billy Starks is, but I assume that if she's 0-1 in wrestling on AEW Dark, that she's not from the same talent tree as Britt Baker. And I get that Britt Baker wants to wrestle. She wants to be on TV as much as possible, even if that means being on YouTube. That's admirable, but Britt Baker, you're a star now. You can't do these kind of things. She wants to be in the ring. She'll probably take any chance she can get, but you can't do that anymore. You can't go on AEW Dark and wrestle against some randos. You've reached a level where that's just not okay anymore. that level of amateurness by Tony Khan booking her in those positions, that shows the cracks in the foundation of AEW for me. Right? Because Britt Baker is one of at least she's your top 5 biggest star in the company. You guys can argue with me all you want, but you have one of your top 5 biggest stars wrestling on YouTube and getting their nose broken and busted open? Guys, tell me the last time you saw Becky Lynch on Main Event. Tell me the last time you saw Charlotte Flair on WWE Main Event. It doesn't happen. You don't have Michael Jordan play one-on-one with some kid from a D2 college in the middle of an NBA season. You don't have Britt Baker wrestle against somebody named Billy Stark on AEW Dark ever. And I get that accidents happen. Wrestling, it happens, but it's ridiculous to act like accidents don't have a higher percentage rate when you're wrestling against somebody who's not from the same caliber of talent level. This is the kind of stuff that has to stop in AEW if they want to be taken seriously and considered the big leagues. Right now, Tony Khan is wasting Britt Baker. She's playing sidekick to the world champion. He's treating the AEW Women's Championship like it's the YMCA soccer league. Everybody needs to touch the ball. Everybody should get a chance at being champion. Tony, you have a very limited talent roster in your women's division. And I get it, Tony. The IWC, they sit around and they praise you and they tell you what an amazing booker you are. But once again, I'm here to help you out. I'm here to bring you back to wrestling reality. If the title isn't around the waist of Saraya or Britt Baker, 90% of the time while you're growing your company, you're missing opportunities. That belt doesn't belong on the waist of Tony Storm. Not long term. That belt doesn't belong on the waist of Jamie Hayter. Not long term. Not Thunder Rosa, not long term. There's 2 people you should put that belt on. We don't have to make sure everybody gets a chance, Tony. You don't need to let Ruby Soho wear the belt for 3 weeks. It's not mandatory when you sign with AEW that you get a title opportunity. And look, if you want to add a third name to Saraya and Britt Baker, if you want to throw Jade Cargill in there, I'm okay with that. I think Jade Cargill is of the high caliber that she's stunning enough that people pay attention. Casual fans pay attention when Jade Cargill's on the screen. But right now, you're still in a building process. I don't know who told you that your women's division is completely done and put together, but you're still in a building process. You don't have a highly established women's division. You have to rely on your top talent. You have to rely on the talent you have that keeps the fans talking, and that's Casual and IWC. And you can't have that person wrestling on Monday nights on AEW Dark on YouTube. It absolutely makes no sense. Moving on, AEW just announced a multi-year, multi-territory exclusive deal with DAZN. The deal will include AEW Dynamite and Rampage, Dark and Dark Elevation, 4 Battle of the Belt events a year, and 4 pay-per-views a year. The deal will bring AEW to 42 markets across Europe and Asia. Well, let me tell y'all something. AEW just shot itself in the foot. This is the type of thing. These are the business decisions that Tony Khan makes that scare me, right? The UK market is going to decline significantly because very few wrestling fans in the UK are going to pay a subscription fee to watch weekly AEW shows. This is bad business, Tony Khan. This is a death blow, man. These are the things that get companies in trouble. You're growing international fan base, and all of a sudden, you hide your content behind a paywall. AEW is still in the growth phase. I don't care how much success you've had up until this point. You're still growing, and this immediately puts you into the Only the hardcore fans will pay for this category. Watch the ratings drop overseas. They were trending upward when the show was free, but watch what happens when you put it behind a paywall so early. That's such a greedy move, Tony Khan. And this is where I question Tony Khan's ability to keep the AEW healthy for a long-term basis, right? Tony is stuck between being a child who just loves wrestling and a businessman whose ego needs to flex like his corporate muscles. And the two just don't mix. Because on one hand, Tony Khan has a passion for wrestling. It's evident in the way he runs AEW. He's been able to bring in top talent. He's been able to make pretty compelling storylines and produce pretty, I call it high quality programming. And this has helped AEW gain the dedicated IWC fan base that it has. But on the other hand, Tony Khan has fallen into his role as a businessman. And that sometimes clashes with his role as a wrestling booker. And as a businessman, Tony Khan is forced on making decisions about money and growing his company. And this leads sometimes to him prioritizing profit over creativity and growth. For example, AEW has been criticized for its heavy use of advertising and sponsorship during its programming. Something that WWE does as well, but WWE's more in a position to do this. And the DAZN deal is just another one of those head scratcher things for AEW, right? But then you have these weird instances where you get these Frankenstein moments where the business Tony Khan molds together with the wrestling Tony Khan like oil and water. And he makes these controversial statements and he'll engage in public feuds with other wrestling promotions and personalities. And so I think Tony Khan's got to stick to being the wrestling fan. That's what's gained him the most favor with fans. This type of behavior that he falls into is divisive. And sometimes it's harmful to AEW. Look, I'm just saying. Tony Khan struggles between being a wrestling promoter and a businessman with an ego, and that harms AEW. So it's important for Tony Khan to find that balance between the two roles if he wants AEW to continue to grow. If he's happy with where it's at, then fine. Let AEW be your playground where you just flex your muscles and book your dream matches. Talking about flexing your muscles and trying to find success, ever since Bray Wyatt returned to the WWE last year, people have been wanting to see the return of the cult leader character. The reason for him not bringing it back, however, seems to be very personal. WWE on Fox recently posted a clip of their upcoming sit-down interview with the former world champion. He is seen talking about the different iterations of his character. Speaking about the gimmick he originally debuted on the main roster with, Wyatt explained that he can't bring it back without Brody Lee, saying, quote, "For me, the Hawaiian shirt Bray, who he was, he can't be himself without Brody. I can't be that without Brody. It's just not the same. It's disrespectful to my best friend. It just can't be without him." That's admirable. I have no problem with that. And it adds to the lore of me having no clue where this Bray Wyatt story is going, because I think we all thought at one point he was bringing back all of the characters from the past. And based on this, it looks like that's not what his plan is. He went on to talk about The Fiend dying in Tampa against Randy Orton. So I guess we're not bringing The Fiend back either. There goes that line of thinking. I'm so lost with this whole Bray Wyatt situation right now, but for some reason, I absolutely love every minute of it. But here's one of the dangers of Bray Wyatt's style of storytelling. It's that often he comes off maybe possibly too intelligent for us casual fans. Like to fully understand what he's doing. He uses a lot of like symbolism. He uses metaphors, a lot of like literary devices to convey his message, which is, it's difficult for those who aren't familiar with the techniques or who just, they're not really paying attention enough to follow like the rabbit hole that he's actually taking us down. The rabbit hole was a fitting metaphor for what he's doing. It's just that some of us aren't prepared to go down that rabbit hole and research everything that's going on. And that tends to lead the casual audience to confusion and frustration. And you see the casual fans starting to turn a little bit because they may not understand the deeper meaning behind what Bray's trying to do in his promos. But somehow, some way, when it seems like the casual fans are starting to fall off the wagon, he figures out a way to reel us back in. He does something, Uncle Howdy shows up, whatever it is, he teases something that brings us back in. And there's a danger in his storytelling, right? Because it is a little bit dark and it is a little bit disturbing if you pay attention. His character kind of deals in themes of like fear and pain and death, which are a little bit unsettling to anybody who actually, like, if you listen to Bray, there's a lot of hurt and pain in what he's saying. And some of that has led him to kind of fall off of linear storytelling, using different timelines, flashbacks, referring to like past situations. It's all stuff that makes it hard as a casual fan to engage and invest in. But right now, I think that Bray Wyatt's kind of walking a fine line between like being too intelligent and doing enough fan service that he has everybody on the edge of their seats right now. I'm ready for the pitch black match. I'm ready to see where that goes. And maybe we'll get a little bit of clarity coming out of Royal Rumble with what exactly is going on in the Bray Wyatt situation. Last news story of the day, Luchasaurus is at the center of a lawsuit being filed against AEW. CFX, a Louisiana-based silicone mask company that was founded in 2006, claims that AEW and Madison are using a copyrighted mask design for merchandising purposes without permission. He was allowed to use the mask to wrestle, but not for merchandising on things such as t-shirts or action figures. Thurston noted that there were email records that were included in the lawsuit. In those emails, it was stated that Madison worked with CFX around December of 2016 and in 2019 when Madison signed with AEW. CFX tried to come to some sort of licensing agreement. In February of 2021, AEW even asked for a new mask to be made for Madison, and in August 2021, the mask was shipped. AEW bought the rights to the new mask, but it was never used. Madison reportedly sent an email saying that he and AEW CEO Tony Khan didn't want to change his current look due to it being too iconic at this point. That was a lot. Look, one of the most important aspects of pro wrestling, and I talk about it all the time and it gets argued by the IWC, but it's character, right? It's your persona. And I get that, like, the mask is his persona, and it creates a different identity. It takes him from just a standard 6'4" guy to now he's the big guy wearing a mask. And that's powerful for certain wrestlers to create, a unique look like that. But what Luchasaurus has done is he's created a character that stands out. I get it. But I'm not so sure that I agree with him and Tony Khan that the look is iconic. Right? We got to be careful throwing around the word iconic at this point. And another question I have is, didn't Luchasaurus just turn heel like a couple months ago? Doesn't it seem like that would have been the perfect opportunity to tweak the mask just enough that you get yourself out of this trouble? Once again, refer back to the previous news topic. These are the head scratching decisions that Tony Khan makes that make me go, I don't know what we're doing here, Tony. But another question. Is Luchasaurus merch flying off of the shelves in AEW? Like, I've been to 2 AEW shows and I saw 0 people in Luchasaurus mask. Is there a subgroup of little kids dressing up as Luchasaurus for Halloween that I don't know about? Like, how much damages could AEW really have done to this mask maker? Like, is this guy looking for a check of like $37? Like, I don't see tons of Luchasaurus t-shirts. I don't see the mask. I don't see tons of I guess toys maybe. But looking at the mask, like just pulling the mask up and looking at it, it's not iconic at all. I think I could make the argument that the most iconic thing about Luchasaurus was the fact that another grown man rode on his shoulders when he came to the ring, and he had a green tongue. That's it. That's the most iconic things. The mask, if I didn't look at it, I couldn't describe it. This mask easily could be altered and nobody would ever notice. It seems so silly at this point that Tony Khan and Luchasaurus said that this mask is too iconic. Rey Mysterio had an iconic mask. Kane had an iconic mask. Mankind had an iconic mask. Luchasaurus, it's not iconic, bro. It's just not that memorable. I'll go one step farther, Luchasaurus. That mask isn't even in the top 25 most iconic mask of all time. And that's not meant to be a knock on Luchasaurus. It's really just meant to kind of place in reality where he stands in mask wrestling hierarchy. Like, we have to be realistic with these things. All right, so until I line up guest for the segment of the day, I'm going to go ahead and just do a topic of the day today. And I wanted to talk about something that I found interesting. Royal Rumble is less than 48 hours away. And it's in my hometown, San Antonio, Texas. And I have not purchased tickets. I haven't pulled the trigger on purchasing tickets yet. But like, there's a dilemma. And I wanted people's honest opinions on this. And that is, what makes going to a wrestling event special? Like, what is it? I'm not sure, because when I look, I'm looking at the pricing of the tickets right now, and they're expensive. It is expensive to go to a wrestling show, and I am a little bit of a snob in that. Maybe it's a snob, maybe it's a phobia. I won't sit above the first set of bleachers or risers, whatever you call them. So there's a part of me that wonders, as I look at the tickets and the prices are dropping, contrary to WWE telling me that the show is selling out. It's obviously all going to scalpers, which is fine. It makes, last minute tickets a possibility. But I really contemplate and go back and forth. There's a part of me that goes, how bad do I really need to go to the Royal Rumble? And it's funny because it's almost like there's a monetary value, right? Am I willing to spend $600 to go to the Royal Rumble? I don't think so. Am I willing to spend $400 to go to the Royal Rumble? All right, I'll have the conversation. I'm not willing to sit up high. I'm not willing to sit, definitely not in the very top of the arena. So as I watch the tickets fall in price, I just wonder, what is it? What makes it special? Is it FOMO? Like, is it FOMO? Is it the fear of missing out? Is there a part of me that wants to buy tickets to the Royal Rumble because I'm going to see the next day everybody say, oh man, you missed this? I guess that is part of it, because there's a part of me that says right now at Walmart for $478, I can get a 75-inch TV and watch the Royal Rumble in crystal clear 4K on Peacock. And then when the Royal Rumble's over, I have a 75-inch TV to watch. Like, it's just something that I've kind of played around with in my head the last couple of weeks, and I'm having a hard time making the decision and pulling the trigger on buying the tickets. And I don't know, I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. Like, there's a part of me that goes, do I want to go sit there and see what a pitch black match is? Yeah, there's a part of me. But there's also a part of me that says that I've been in the Alamo Dome, and it's a extremely big stadium, and this is not WrestleMania. Is it really worth sitting, what feels like a mile away from the ring where guys look like ants, just so I can be in the building for the experience? And I can't put my thumb on whether or not that is the right thing to do. And so, like, I want real input from you guys to, like, help me out here. What do I do? And this seems like such a stupid question, right? Do I hold on to the money? Because it's not, I'll start off with, like, it's not a financial issue in the fact that, like, I can't afford it. It's not that. It's a financial issue in the point of, like, sometimes I don't want to spend that much money when I can't see the benefit of it, right? Because Royal Rumble, it's 4 hours, you're there, then it's over, and it's gone. And so, like, the real question I have that I want people to weigh in on is how important is being there? I mean, does it literally make it more special if I'm like, let's say The Rock shows up number 30. The Rock's music hits. He comes out. What makes it more special sitting in the arena, especially, I get, like, if you can get the tickets around the ring in your front row, that's a big deal. But if I'm in section 1,743 at the top of the building, what makes it so special? What's the difference in watching it on TV? So I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to put a poll up. I'm going to put an actual poll up on YouTube. I want you guys to answer. Should I take the money that I was going to buy Royal Rumble tickets with and go buy a TV? Or do I bite the bullet and go to Royal Rumble? I really want your guys' opinion on that. All right, special topic of the day. It is Wrestling Mount Rushmore, our weekly Thursday segment where we take a closer look at the greatest wrestlers of all time. This week, I am diving into the Royal Rumble, one of the most exciting, iconic events in professional wrestling. I will be creating a Mount Rushmore of the greatest Royal Rumble participants of all time, highlighting the wrestlers who have made the biggest impact on this annual event. From the legends who have won the Royal Rumble multiple times to those who have set records for the most eliminations or the longest time spent in the match, these are the wrestlers that have left their mark on my Royal Rumble watching experience. All right, so let's start off. First one, 4 names as always. No rules as to why you pick these. You just make your arguments and you make your list. I've had people tell me that Mount Rushmores have to be historic. They're not. They're whatever you want them to be. It's just it's a way to force yourself into selecting 4 names for a particular topic. So here we go. One argument that I'm going to make first. This argument is going to be based on the number of eliminations and time spent in the match. This person has the 4th most single Rumble eliminations with 11. He's first in total eliminations with 46 in his career. And he's appeared in a record 20 Royal Rumbles. I'm talking about Kane. I don't think you can make... it's hard for me to make... Anytime I think of the Royal Rumble, Kane is the first person that comes to my mind. I get he may not be yours, but he definitely is the first person that comes to my mind. And I think, speaking of greatest Royal Rumble participants of all time, I think Kane is definitely on my list. My second person is the all-time most winningest Royal Rumble participant, a 3-time Royal Rumble winner, which is the most of any wrestler in history. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think when I'm building this list out, I like the idea of having the person who's been in the most Royal Rumbles, which is Kane, and complementing that with the number of eliminations that he's had. And then I like the idea of going straight to the person who has won the most Royal Rumbles, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that's a good foundation for a Mount Rushmore. But then you jump and you move on. And my third pick, we're getting a little more dicey here, but I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio. And the argument that I will make for Rey Mysterio is that he holds the record for the longest performance in a 30-man Royal Rumble. Get that, 30-man. Don't go Wikipedia this and tell me Bryan Danielson was in the Royal Rumble longer, even though there was like 600 people in that Royal Rumble. We're talking about the standard 30-man Royal Rumble. Rey Mysterio's, he's your guy. 1 hour, 2 minutes, 12 seconds. That's it. And he's the 3rd longest in cumulative time in a Royal Rumble. And he's won a Royal Rumble because it was dicey. It got dicey here. I almost picked Chris Jericho because Chris Jericho holds the record for just most time spent in a Royal Rumble. But because Jericho's never won the Rumble, Rey Mysterio's won the Rumble, and Rey Mysterio holds the record for single longest appearance, I had to put Rey Mysterio. And my 4th choice, which is going to be a little more controversial. Trust me, this one might turn some heads. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't, but I'm going to pick Brock Lesnar. And I know this pick is controversial, but with 13 eliminations, tied for the most ever in a single Royal Rumble, it just seems like, I know it's him and Braun Strowman, but Brock's 13 eliminations, they were like consecutive eliminations. And I think it's hard to argue that like that was maybe the single most epic performance in a Royal Rumble where he just came out and he just, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. 13 in a row. Like that, to me, that's worthy of being on my Mount Rushmore. But I need to know your guys' choices for your Mount Rushmore of the Royal Rumble participants. So make sure to post those in the comments, or this will be clipped and put on TikTok. So if you want to answer there, it seems like we get a little bit more interaction there, but you choose where you want to put that. Now make sure to tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow is our Level Up episode of the Casual Wrestling Daily Podcast with Lauren. But that is all I have for you guys tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for more casualing news and wrestling content. If you have any comments for tonight's episode, make sure to put them in the comment section below. As always, I am the Notorious Nerdy D, and it is time to ring the final bell.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Hey, Casual Wrestling Community Show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious Nerdy D. Don't be sure that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit them with a figure 4 leg lock, pile driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like for show, but you should